Well, good afternoon, everyone. This is the most excited I've been at a press conference since, well, the last time I had a press conference with Dr. McGuire, officially announcing the Minnesota United's plans to move forward with a stadium in St. Paul. We're so excited to have everyone here. I want to welcome members of the St. Paul City Council who are here and for their leadership on this project. We're very grateful for their support. We have members of the Community Advisory Committee that have been doing just an incredible job of really helping us shape the vision for not only the stadium itself, but for this entire area. I want to thank the governor for his continued support for this project, as well as members of our St. Paul legislative delegation, particularly Representative Moran and Senator Pappas, that have been very strong supporters of this. Senator Sanders, who's the House sponsor, co-sponsor with Representative Moran, very excited to have their support, and I really feel that that we're getting closer and closer every day to actually breaking ground on this project. One of the things that we have said is, first of all, it is important to remember we're bringing the world's game to the Twin Cities. We're bringing the world's game to the state of Minnesota. This is a game that will be, when I think forward a couple of years from now, when I look at who will be in those stands, it really is a game that will attract, it's for the entire community, for all of our newly arriving Minnesotans from other parts of the globe who grew up playing soccer or football, that really believe in the sport. And it's going to be very exciting to see the diversity of the crowds that will be participating in those games. But I don't think there's any question that with the vision that you see that Dr. McGuire will present, you're going to get excited about just the beauty of the stadium. The facility is going to be first rate, first class, and fitting of the world's game. But from the beginning, we have said that this is not just about soccer. This is not just about a stadium. This is about redevelopment of the central Midway district of the city of St. Paul, and quite frankly, of the Twin Cities. And we have said from the beginning that we knew that the stadium could be catalytic for development on the site, could be catalytic for a lot of growth, could take advantage of the transportation investments that have been made in the Green Line and the A Line, bus rapid transit. And I think the vision that you will see here today encompasses all of that. I want to thank, we'll hear in a little bit from Rick Burdorf, who is the owner of Arcade Midway and the surrounding acreage of the stadium site, and he will share his vision for what he believes is possible as a result of this investment that's being made on behalf of the team. So very, very excited for all of you to see this vision. I think you'll understand why I'm so excited once you've had a chance to see all of this. And at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Dr. McGuire to walk you through his vision. Thank you.
Thank you all for joining us today. As you recognize, this is in some ways an update of what has been occurring over the past months as we've been moving forward and working with a variety of people and groups within the community and the state, actually, about what we can do to make the world's game as good as it can be and make this location, this stadium and the community that surrounds it in our state, the North, really the epicenter of soccer for all of us. And for the people that are involved, the investment group that is really representative of our community, many that we've already talked about and some we'll talk about more in the future, coming together. This was indeed an opportunity to focus not just on soccer, obviously, but also on the community. And I hope you will agree with us that what you see between what I show you and what Rick shows as part of a longer term master plan is as exciting as we all think it is. In looking and turning to the stadium first, our conceptual idea was to bring a facility to the community that could stand up to what anyone thought was a great and wonderful facility. Elegant, descriptive of the sport, forward-looking, the kind of things that go with what soccer is all about around the world, not just here in the face of this tremendous growth of soccer. And so we've tried to incorporate into that a number of features that some you're obviously aware of, like playing outdoors on grass, open air, these kind of things. To some seem like an anathema at times. They say, gee whiz, you could have snow on the ground, and who wants to sit out in the snow? But we all know that's totally tolerable, and more importantly, it's a heck of a lot better than sitting around in 115 degrees and 95% humidity in the middle of the summer, when we're doing up here and enjoying the great summer. So this design is built to reflect not only soccer at a worldwide level, but our state and our community. And so you'll see some features here from a design concept that probably hearken on two things. One is flow, the idea of the rivers and the lakes that make Minnesota what it is. And the second is blue waters. And that kind of environment, and perhaps extending from that, great stars in the sky and even the aurora. So the first picture I'm going to show you is actually taken, it's a rendering. It is from the angle of University Avenue with the green rail, looking through the entire property to the south where the stadium sits and abuts upon I-94. Here you can see the things I just talked about, the flow, I think great elegance, something that fits wonderfully into the community. As you'll see as we go, the stadium field is actually sunk 16 feet into the ground, so the total height of the building around it is closer to 70 or 75 feet, rather than something that overwhelms the community. From the outside, you can see some of the features. The exterior skin, as it's called, is in fact a polymer mesh, a PTFE, that is designed to keep out a lot of the elements, wind, rain, etc., but also has the ability to allow light to shine through it. And the stadium is designed with the intent to have all LED lighting inside, which means we have the ability to, at different times of the day, change colors. And so, oops, sorry. So first daylight, second twilight, and here, hard to see from here, but you can see some of the blue and green, and there are many different colors that can then be brought in. And this harkens around the world to the great stadium in Munich today, Allianz Arena for Bayern Munich, which has a different color depending on whether the national team is playing there or Bayern Munich. But other than that, not much else like it. A few other pictures. Here is an angle looking at one of the main entrances, which is actually on the northwest corner. So we're sort of looking back to the east. You can see a main entrance down here at street level. Again, how it might look a little different depending on what lighting is used. Similarly, from the other side, where you can see during the day the sunlight shining through a bit. It's not like a window, but in fact allows some lighting, and you can even see a little bit of the infrastructure inside, or done differently in the evening, in this case in the blue-green tints. And here is the north facade, which looks at a large green lawn, which we'll come to, in fact, two large green plazas extending back to University. So this complements what you saw in the first picture, where we're looking down from University to the stadium. This is now starting to look back more to the northwest. And here is a view from I-94 driving west. Arguably, perhaps the best thing you can see as you drive on I-94 west across our state, and during the day. And then if you want to envision, and again, there are many colors, but the idea of something like this. Appropriately sized to the site, consistent with the environment around us, both here and in the state. Within the field, actually for people once you're in there and the players, a full 120 by 75 yard pitch, as it's called, between the lines, grass, natural grass. About 20,000 seats laid out. This is looking back to the north. So you can see this, and you can begin to see the nature of one of the other features, which is a oval roof open in the middle on the top, which has the advantages of pushing light down and also keeping sound in. So also keeping sound off the freeway, obviously, but most importantly, one of the elements that makes soccer so much a spectator sport so exciting is all that noise staying in. And in this case, a set of trusses built around that allow this complete enclosure that almost covers all of the seats, not meant to entirely protect it, because obviously wind and other things will move the very occasional rain that we're going to see around a bit. Here is a picture from the other end. So now, as if we are walking in from the north, the view we saw coming down from University, and looking to the back, at the far end, a large raking supporters stand built to hold about 3,000, and where people will stand during the game, as many are wont to do in soccer, because unlike other sports, you don't want to sit down. Really exciting. And a LED screen. And from above, a different view, again on the circular ring, and the ability to see this tight oval with all the elements and features. And you can see again, back to the north, the large lawn, and ultimately development around it. I throw a couple of pictures to close just so you can get another framework. I talked about how this fits in the community. A lot of interest in making it be appropriate. And here you can see a side angle. One of the things is that all of the seats, no matter where you are close to the field. The farthest distance from any seat is 125 feet down to the field itself, really to the playing field. And whether it's press, as this shows, or whatever. And then you can see the roof structure up there. And to help orient you, here is an overlay that you can see. This is target field, I guess, right? This looks like. I think maybe it's TCF. I'm a little at an angle, but you can see out here is our structure. You can see how much closer it is to the field, how the seats are all close. And the one that I think orients you the best, this is XL. So here you have the planned stadium situated within XL Center. So you can see both narrower space and lower. And that helps you get sort of a feel for the size of all of this. So that's what we are embarking on. Things yet to do, tweaks to be made, obviously. There will be some adjustments. This is, we said, about 20,000 seats. Looking forward to moving into it February, early March at the latest in 2018. And with that, I will stop. We'll have some questions later, but I want to introduce Rick Beardoff, who is a partner with the community in all of this, and present you some other exciting things.
With me today is John Clifford. John is with S9 Architecture out of New York. He's been integral in working with Bill and myself and the architects for the stadium in doing this master plan. So John will present some of the things that you'll see today, and I'll present some as well. So I've been, our company's name is RD Management. We've owned the Midway Shopping Center since 1992, so we're not new to the community here. And we're very excited about the opportunity to redevelop not only our site, but what's been referred to as the super block. As many as you know, about a year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago, we embarked on a TOD study that was put together by three parties, the city, the Met Transit, and ourselves, where we studied the super block and projected out what we could develop on this site jointly. And that study resulted in some ideas of what we could possibly do on the site, but it was needed some type of catalytic event, catalytic use to turn this property around. And over the years, there's been some interest from Dr. McGuire about the site for a soccer stadium, and the timing of things has just developed properly, where we've put together this master plan in conjunction with the soccer stadium. And so today I'm going to run through with you some of the ideas and what we plan to show on the site. So let me just take you through here. First photograph is the existing conditions of the site. The site is about 35 acres. It's bounded by University, Snelling, St. Anthony, and Pascal. And you see the L-shaped Midway shopping center there. And on the top right is the former bus barn that's owned by Met Transit. As I mentioned, the entire site is 34.4 acres. Our company, which is RK Midway, we own 24.6 acres of that, and the Met Council owns 9.8 acres of that site. When we started to design the master plan that incorporated the stadium, there was we worked very closely with many of the members of the community, the civic groups, as well as with the CAC, which has been formed since we started doing the master plan study. And there have been certain design principles that we wanted to implement into the project that was be the guidelines for our master development. And some of these things are, and this is not necessarily order of priority, but of importance. We wanted to make this a mixed-use facility, something that's where it's not just a retail shopping center here. We wanted to have the multitude of uses, including retail, which we have now, but office, residential, hospitality, hotels, entertainment in the form of movie theaters, bowling alleys, cinemas, and health clubs. And our idea was to make this place somewhere it's a 24/7 activity. So there's workers there during the day, there's people there in the evening, people are going to come to eat here, to enjoy themselves, and it was important just to change the perception of what the Midway Shopping Center is, which is a single-story, 300,000 square foot shopping center. The other main aspect here is that with the infrastructure improvements with transportation, this has made this a very unique opportunity here. With the $1 billion plus green line there, the coming of the BRT and 94, you have 3 forms of transportation that's right surrounding the site, which is really an incredible opportunity to make this a TOD development. Three other things that were important to us is that we want to create a urban street grid here. What we have here is just a sea of asphalt with almost actually no green space on there. We want to create a grid system there where there's many streets and keep these streets active, that people will be using these streets on a daily basis. Another aspect is we want to make sure that there is green space here. As I mentioned, there is actually no green space here, and you'll see in the plans coming here, we end up having about 8 acres of public space, no development on it, just green space. And the final aspect of our principles was to sustainability. Not only this project is an urban project, it brings some challenges with stormwater, but also in terms of building materials, making it a green building, LEED certified. So these were our guiding principles in setting forth the master plan. The next plan is the site plan. This is our conceptual site plan for the development of the entire site, and it encompasses all 35 acres. Now, this is a project that will be phased. It will not be done all at once, but as part of the environmental review process, you need to show what the full build-out of the entire project would be. So you see here that's the 34.5 acre site, and you'll see there's different uses that we project for different portions of the property. Now, where those uses will ultimately be, whether the office will be where we say it will be, where residential will be, those are subject to market conditions, and those things might change. But the uses that will be on the site will encompass all those. So though office is shown at the TOD hotspot where University and Snelling is, maybe the market conditions put it on the side where the residential is where Pascal and University. So these are just either subject to modification based on market conditions. But as you see, what we project here is that on the corner of University and Snelling, we project office buildings. and adjacent to it is a cinema. If you're going further down Snelling, you have a fitness club or health club with adjacent to that would be an office building. Further down Snelling is offices, and at the corner of Snelling and St. Anthony, we have some open space which is entitled United Championship Avenue, Plaza. Moving forward to the right-hand side, you have the soccer stadium that Bill has described, and then just adjacent to that, heading towards University, is our largest open space there, named Midway Square and Victory Plaza. And those are just grassed areas, landscaped, very important aspect for our development in terms of bringing vitality, regular use to the facility. The stadium's only going to be occupied a set number of days per year, so we want to make this inviting to the public, where that people would come down, members of the community, and use the facility. Adjacent to the open space, we envision the residential uses on the corner of Pascal and University. Heading down Pascal, we envision a hotel use, hospitality, of two separate hotels. And finally, at the corner of Pascal and St. Anthony, some additional open space that might also be used for game day parking on surface parking. So an important thing to remember, though these are the uses for all these particular locations, on the ground floor of all these buildings is retail space. The shopping center comprises about 330,000 square feet. And an important aspect of this project for us was be able to provide enough retail square footage for all of the existing tenants that are in the shopping center today. So they could, if they want to partake in the revitalized project, there would be space for them. I've met with many of the retailers, either individually in a joint meeting. There's some excitement, of course, some nervousness about what the future will hold, but as I've spoken to all of them, there's spaces for all of them to participate in what the future redevelopment would be. This is an aerial view of what our envision the site to look like at full build-out. As you can see, as you compare it to the initial slide that showed the existing conditions, quite a transformation. The uses correspond to the uses that I just went through on the prior page. Next is we're going to go into a little bit more detail of what the project would be and the stacking plan and the different uses. And for this portion of the presentation, I'd like to have John Clifford of S9 give you a little bit more response.
Thank you, Rick. This drawing shows a theoretical program and a build-out at the full completion of the project. So the color codes indicate the uses that could be on these blocks. The light blue is projected to be office. The brown on the screen is projected to be retail, and as Rick said, we want to have retail on all street frontages, on all ground floors of all of the blocks, save for the stadium block. Yellow is projected to be residential, which you see on the left-hand side of the screen over near Pascal. The purple color, the two buildings toward the upper left, are hotel buildings. Cinema is at the corner of University and Snelling, up on an upper floor overlooking the public space. The health club fitness is the lighter color lilac that's facing onto Snelling in the second block up from University. And then you can't see it on this, but all service and parking is contained within the structure. There's no surface parking save for parallel parking on some of the streets. This shows the different uses and the different size blocks. And one of the things that's really remarkable about this is, Rick pointed out earlier, it's about 35 acres of land. The development blocks are 11.4 after we take out the public space, the streets, and the stadium. So the largest public space is 3.4 acres, the one that's off University that we have the two squares. That's about 1.5 times the size of Rice Park right out here, so it's a very large civic space. Again, as Rick said, all sides of the streets are bound by either restaurants, entertainment, or retail, so we really envision that public space to be active during game events and non-game days as well, using that space and keeping it active through all 4 seasons. These are just some of the existing views of what the site looks like now, and I'm going to follow it with some quick sketches of how this would look and transform the streets around the neighborhood, not just within this block as well. We wanted to integrate this development into the surrounding community as much as possible, which means transforming Snelling, Pascal, and University as well. This is University at Pascal looking west right now. And here it is proposed after. Those would be the residential buildings in the foreground, and in the background is the corner of University and Snelling with the office building. This is Snelling Avenue at Shields Avenue looking north towards University. Shields Avenue is right on the left. And this is proposed. If you recall from the plan, we had all of our office buildings lined up along Snelling. We view this as a corporate address, but we really want to do street improvements on Snelling, giving it a boulevard effect with wider sidewalks, street planting, integrating the BRT, and having restaurants and stores facing Snelling. This is a view looking straight in from University at the Rainbow Foods. And in that same place would be the great public space, the 2 lawns, and the stadium in the background. Residential would be on the left of this drawing. And here is an aerial. This is from the corner of University and Snelling, looking toward the southeast. And from the same point, which would really be like the roof of the cinema in the plan, you'd be overlooking the open space, looking at the residential. The hotel would be in the upper right, and the stadium is in the far right. We really wanted to also look at how we could transform the public realm, as I said, not just within our development, but on the perimeter of the development. So we're looking at how we can improve the streetscape of Snelling Avenue, which is a proposed section on the upper left, and an example on the right, where how we can have broad sidewalks, nice planting areas to protect pedestrians from traffic, and then active storefronts along the street. Same thing on the smaller streets inside, a lot of green space even outside of the parks, but in the streetscapes themselves. Parallel parking wherever we can get it to do traffic calming. Here are some of the internal streets, and on the bottom right is an example of how we propose to improve Pascal, again, to make it more of a residential street instead of an arterial highway. Active street front, street furniture and plantings along the curb. And then within the super block, we're looking at how we can design the streets so they can handle both event and non-event days. During events, there are going to be 20,000 visitors that are coming. Most of them are going to be coming by public transit. A lot of pedestrians. We anticipate that the streets will be able to be closed down and be operated as pedestrian-only streets. So we're looking at curbless streets, which have been implemented in other areas, especially adjacent to stadiums, and with a lot of success. And then, of course, we looked at how we're going to integrate the bike system and the burgeoning bike system for St. Paul through the project and make a direct link to the project and beyond. And all of those things, I mean, there's a lot of work that went into this, but came back to where we are today. Thank you.
We'd be happy to take a few questions. Sir.
Talk a little bit about this being a build-out, a phased development. Obviously, the stadium is going to go sooner than some of these others. Some sense of the timing of some of these other office buildings and whatnot?
You're correct. It's going to be a phased development. So, and the length of time that the build-out will take is dependent on so many different things: the market conditions, the demand, the existing tenant leases at the shopping center. So, clearly, the initial development is going to include the stadium, and the earliest phases will be those uses along Snelling Avenue between Snelling and University at the corner. So that's what we envision our first phase. Subsequent phases, again, are going to be dependent upon a variety of things. So whether this is a 5-year build-out, a 10-year build-out, it's to be seen.
Yes, sir.
Nice stadium. How much is it going to cost?
A lot. We don't have all the final things, and that's one of the things we've been working on, is to try to look for places to not back off from, but also make sure we're not doing more than we can, but I think it's safe to say that this is now 150 or more $1 million. And that's separate from what all the money that Rick will be putting into the development. And obviously we're doing the best we can to try to co-join these, because the vision has always been to make this a community, a stadium that advances and enhances the community, but also becomes part of the fabric. And so you'll see both of these going on, but definitely 150 more. Yes, sir.
For those tenants that are in that strip mall, have there been conversations with them, and then what's the future for those tenants that are in space there right now?
I think I mentioned earlier, yes, there has been conversations. We've had at least one group meeting where all the tenants were invited. Not all of them attended, but the philosophy is that all tenants that have a lease there, those leases will be honored. If some of those tenants would like to facilitate a move to being part of the first phase or earlier phase, we'd like to accommodate them. We're going to start getting into more detailed discussions as to timing, who would be located in what future spaces, but all lease obligations will be honored. But I think in the meeting there was a general sense of excitement that you're going from a density of 335,000 square feet, single level shopping center, to definitely a more dense and more traffic, and which would help their business and hopefully help their bottom line.
Yes.
For Mayor Coleman. Mayor Coleman, how much are taxpayers going to have to pay for infrastructure improvements? And I noticed there's no parking ramp, so there's not going to be, the city's okay with that as well? So those are two questions. Why no ramp, and how much for taxpayers?
Well, I think if you look at the vision that Rick has laid off, there's plenty of parking infrastructure in the development that he's looking at. It was all kind of contained within those buildings. And that has been one of the principles that we've gone into this, which was to say that we believe that the work that we're investing in, whether it is the street infrastructure, the stormwater, any of those things, serve the broader purpose of the redevelopment of the entire site. And I think that that's what we're going to continue to see here. And so, we're not building a parking ramp solely for the soccer stadium. We're building a parking ramp that serves the tenants and the customers of what Rick is planning on building out. So we haven't completed our parking study. We have a traffic management study that will also be conducted as part of this, so we'll have a better sense of exactly how many spots we'll need to serve the stadium. But what is more important is the facilitation of the development of the rest of that site. We are kind of in the process of putting all the numbers together in terms of what the public infrastructure will cost on this one. We'll have, I think in the next few days, we'll have a little bit more certainty as we go forward, so stay tuned.
So we don't know how much, you don't have a guesstimate as to what it might be, if you're going to.
I'm not prepared to give that at this time.
Rick, I've got a question for you. Can you characterize developer interest in this site? I know there's been a few local developers who said they want in.
I have spoken to some local developers. One of the companies that I have a relationship with that we're working on the office component there is United Properties. United is a well-respected name in town. Working with them in the office component of it.
Can you characterize what's happened already and what's to come in that partnership?
We have been talking quietly with some prospective users for the office component. The office is an important aspect of the project. In terms of full-scale marketing, we really haven't done that yet because we were working on the master plan, and until we can show people our vision, it's not something that we've been pushing hard on, but with the announcement today and the unveiling of the plans, we will be actively marketing with potential users.
Mr. Ruda?
Sure.
Could you just, maybe I missed the number, but did you say approximately how many square feet of office space, retail space, and like housing units?
I didn't, but I can give you some ideas. The existing shopping center is, like I said, about 330,000 square feet, anticipated between the ground floor retail of all the buildings and the cinema and the health club, for approximately 400,000 square feet. The number of square footage for the office and for the residential is going to be based on market demand.
One of those renderings had some ballpark figures, or?
They didn't. The ballpark, I would imagine, could be 500,000, 750,000 of office space, again, but what's gonna dictate, no one's building a spec office building here, or anywhere for that matter, so it's gonna be based on an agreement from a user coming in to take, if not all, a substantial amount of a particular building. But there's been no exact square footage of that.
Dr. McGuire, you talked about expanding the stadium. Can you explain how that allows for expansion? In Orlando, they expanded before they start programming. I figured, is that at all possible? Would you up this?
We have the capacity, we believe, to be at about 23,500 seats with some standing room, and I think that's probably where we'll stay focused. We don't need to get ahead of ourselves just yet. Obviously, the future expansion becomes a progressively more costly thing, so we're going to try to design this so there are ways and places to bring additional seating in. And you know, once we accomplish what Portland and Kansas City and a few other places done, which is sell out every seat, every game, we can address some of that. But right now, that's going to be about the limit, 23.5 plus standing room.
This is for Mayor Coleman again. Mayor Coleman, I know this site's not on the property tax rolls right now, but between this site staying off the property tax rolls and the Saint Stadium staying off the property tax rolls, how much money is that out of your general fund and funding for schools down the road? How much are you going to be potentially?
Well, I think the right question to ask is how much of an increase in the property value will we see as a result of what Dr. McGuire has laid out here and what Rick has laid out here. We have a property that has the potential to have 10 or 12 times the current value when we see the full build out of what we have here. And quite frankly, but for this, there is very little chance that we would see that kind of increase in value. So the increase in the market, the taxable value of this property will be quite substantial over what we have today and what we would otherwise see, but for this catalytic development on this corner. I think Fred over here, and then we'll come back to him.
Can you just kind of reiterate what it will look like in 2018? I mean, you'll have a stadium, you'll have 2 of the 4 parks, or all 4
Well,
green spaces?
again, this is always the problem of trying to show ultimate vision. Much of this is staged based on who comes forward. Our interest has always been, after meeting with community members, the CAC and others, making sure that we establish a grid, a platform upon which future development can grow in a controlled and an intelligent way that makes a great community. So I would say for the beginning, we would hope to have at the very least the stadium, the 2 green spaces leading out to University, 4 acres or more, and at least some of the street and sidewalk infrastructure that surrounds those and all the infrastructure, plaza and streets that surround the stadium. And that will at least facilitate those things. As Rick pointed out, he has existing buildings there with existing tenants, and the determination of what happens there will be predicated on what those people elect to do, what they want as this thing is going on around them. So I think at the very least, we're going to see the green space and the stadium. And as an aside, Rick and I have both said that we want to be responsible for building out that green space and making it the kind of lawn and place that will be really great. Right?
But you can't have Rainbow Foods there and build those things. You have to do some demolition.
There will be some pieces that will be brought down, and that's part of negotiations that Rick will have in the area.
Being that the cost has risen, and speaking about for a while, are you looking for new investors beyond the ones you already have, or will everybody just back off?
Yeah, we really don't talk about that. Let's say that there are a group of people within our community that are stepping forward to make this a reality. The group is larger than has perhaps been made public at the wishes of those people, and that's the way it will stay. And I am confident that given the commitment of all of these people to this community on a long historical and future view, that they will come together. We will all come together in this partnership to make this happen.
Dr. McGuire?
Yes, sir.
Just a question for you. I know that recently MLS has asked to change the name of United because of another team. Has there been any conversation about that?
Yeah, I've read those reports, and we'll deal with issues like that as soon as it's announced that we're finalized when we enter MLS. But today the focus is right here, and I think that's where we should keep it.
Going back to the stadium and the materials and the look of it, is that, again, could you describe that a little bit about the materials you use? I mean, right now it almost looks kind of translucent, right? That you'll be able to see through some of this.
The rendering technology is pretty impressive, but it is translucent, but it has the ability, there's enough light in it that you could see some of the interior if the light is just right on the other side. But it is not something that's problematic because it's transparent and all the issues that go with large transparent spaces.
The light rail station down at Target Field was built for big crowds, to handle big crowds. Is this light rail station capable of handling that? If not, it's got to be modified. Maybe who's going to pay for that?
I'm not a technical expert on that. As I said, you have a group of people coming together to put up an exciting thing in this location, and based on our conversations with everybody involved to date, they are also very excited, and I think we'll come together and people will do their respective pieces if there needs to be a bigger light rail strip. I have no idea yet. We're 2 years off from that. There hasn't been a traffic study yet that's being looked at.
Is there any, Mr. Mayor, do you know what, if that's going to have to be modified?
I think they'll just answer the question.
So we don't know.
No, we don't know.
Mr. McGuire, who's gonna build the stadium, who's gonna decide who builds it, and who's gonna name it, and what's it gonna be called?
The group of people that include myself, or our family, Pohlad family, Binger family, Glenn Taylor's family, others that we have not made public yet will all be